Hey guys! So today I'm doing another decorating video, but this time this is going to be quite a big project that takes several days. So I am redoing my museum area. So this is what the current area looks like with my museum removed. I've already moved my museum to a different part of the island while we get sorted. So yeah. The first thing is to remove the trees and remove the little water part that I added, because I want to completely change this, because I've always said that I wanted to add more layers to my island. I wanted to have more cliffs and things like that to add more dimension to the island. So what I want to do is add a couple more layers and put my museum on top of this huge cliff, because I feel like everyone in the game has these crazy big outdoor areas for their museum. They have dig sites for dinosaurs, they have huge water features. They just everyone loves to have a huge dramatic entrance to their museum, and I was like, mine looks kind of plain. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna go all out just like everyone else. So yeah, that's why I moved my museum. That's why I have to move all my trees and everything, because we are going to be adding a couple more layers to this place, and it took some time. So I've never actually done something like this on my island before. I've never went out of my way to build up cliffs where there wasn't any before. So this was scary. Because I didn't know how it was going to turn out, and as I was building and it was just coming out to be this ginormous square, I hated it. But obviously I needed to start with a square because I needed to have enough cliff to cover my museum. So that's why I had markers on the ground of where my museum was. So I built up the square to match the size of my museum, and then I built up the second square because I wanted it to be on the second cliff. And then after that I built out the bottom square so that there would be more area around to walk around to get to the museum. And you have to start with a square because you want to make sure that everything that you want to do on the cliff fits. And so once you have the square, then you can sort of start editing the cliff edge so that it looks a little bit more natural. And I don't know if I've mentioned it in a video before. I know I've mentioned it with rivers that I don't like when things are squared off. It's the same with cliffs. I don't like that. I mean, I know that sometimes you can have a sharp cliff edge, but I prefer if there's curves and stuff in it, because it gives it more of a natural feel, it's eroded naturally. So yeah, it was initially a challenge to get the cliff to kind of look the way I wanted it to. After, fiddling around with it, I kind of got the front edge to look nice. The side edges don't look as nice, and the back doesn't look nice either. The reasons being because, well, one side was too close to the beach, so I couldn't do much with that. And the other side has a bridge on it, which I want to remove. So I went to Tumblr and I spoke to him, and I was like, we gotta remove this bridge, bro. So that bridge will be removed in the next day, which will be included in this video because I'm gonna record ahead of time. But yeah, so when we return the next day, the bridge will be removed and I can extend that cliff out the way I want it to. But for right now, it looks a bit of a mess. But the important part is that the front of the cliff looks great, because there's not much room behind the cliff anyway, so no one's going to see that. So we're fine. We're doing it. So once I had the cliff built out, I went back to Nooks because I realised that I should probably put down my museum and visualize it while I'm here. So I went to Nooks and then I went to the top of the cliff to place out my museum, and luckily enough it did fit. It is a bit of a tight squeeze. I do kind of wish I had more space for it, but at the same time I wanted my museum in this part of the island. I couldn't picture my museum anywhere else, so I was like, it's this little area or bust. So it is a little bit of a tight squeeze, but I don't mind. So like I said, once I get the bridge removed, I can extend the side and it'll be fine. So once the museum was placed, I just continued to work up my cliff and sort of shape it out the way I wanted it to be. Originally, I had this idea that I kind of wanted 4 ramps to access my museum. So I know that sounds really excessive, but I've seen people with loads of staircases and stuff up to their museum. So originally I wanted two ramps coming up the two sides of the cliff area because I like the way the front of the cliff looks, so I wanted two at the side. And then I also wanted two at the front of the museum, coming up either direction so that it was like, a big dramatic entrance to the museum. But as I was kind of moving around the land and things like that, I kind of realized I didn't have enough room for all those ramps. And also, you can only have like 8 ramps on your island, so I was kind of like, okay, I need to tone it down. So now, the way it ends up is that I'm only going to have 2 ramps. So I'm going to have one um, on the right hand side of my museum next to the river so that you can like go up the first cliff, and then I'm gonna have a second ramp to get up to the entrance of the museum, and hopefully it should all work out and be fine. Obviously this day I couldn't place any ramps or anything like that because I was waiting to remove the bridge, and Tom can only do like one type of renovation a day, so I couldn't place any ramps. I have to wait until my bridge is demolished. So moving on to much later in the night, literally I like started to record this and then I went to have dinner and stuff. But yeah, when I came back, the next step was to add some water because I wanted to be really extra with this. I wanted to have like a cute little area, so I decided to put in some waterfalls. I feel like everyone is a sucker for a good waterfall feature, so of course I was like gonna put one in. And I was kind of inspired by Nathan because I went to his island earlier that day and I kind of seen he done these like little waterfall things around villager houses. So I thought that was kind of cute, and I was like, I have all this cliff edge, I'm gonna use it. So I made this little waterfall thing down the left hand side. So as usual, while I was doing this, I did not have a plan at all. I just decided I want to make this cliff area for my museum. I visualized it a bunch, like when I was going to bed and stuff. All I could think was like, oh my god, I'm gonna like make this area my museum, and I could like visualize kind of what I wanted. And you know what? It did kind of turn out the way that I kind of envisioned it, like not exactly, but at the same time, like it was looking really cute. So like I was really happy once I added the water because it gave more dimension to the actual area, instead of it just being all cliffs. And obviously, later on, I'm gonna add like trees and things like that as well. But it really helped to start adding water and things like that as well to the area to make it look a little bit more grand, a little bit more natural. I don't really know. But the point is, I just wanted this to be a really fancy area. I was like, water, cliffs, everything, like, yeah. So once I had the water in place, the next thing was to actually place my trees and the flowers. So I wanted to use all the trees and flowers that I originally had in front of my museum. And what I discovered is when you have this kind of small cliff area, it's really difficult to place trees anywhere because you can't place trees too close to the cliff edge, and you also can't place trees too close to water. So it was kind of a bit of trial and error to get some trees in and about the place. The only trees that I didn't end up using that were originally in front of my museum were the orange trees and then one hardwood tree. So I think it was pretty good that I managed to stick every other tree down there except for a couple orange trees and stuff. Like I said before, oranges are my native fruit, so it doesn't really bother me if I have like a couple less orange trees, but I really wanted the other fruit trees to be around. And so yeah, then the only other thing that I had to do that night was to add my flowers and add my little like street lamps and some bushes and things like that. I wanted this to be like a really cute like natural area that has flowers, that has trees, bushes as well. And I also added my little like butterfly models. So I had this whole idea because I wanted to use all the butterfly models. So currently I only have 2 from Flick, but hopefully in the future I'm going to get a bunch more. So when I get more butterfly models, this is exactly where they're going to go. They're going to go around the museum. It's going to be cute. I don't know if I'm going to use any like fish models or anything like that. I haven't actually commissioned one from CJ yet, so I don't know what they look like. But I'll probably put some here too, just because like it makes sense to have them around the museum because the museum has these creatures in it, so why not just have them around? Plus, the butterfly models are really pretty, and I feel like you have to display them somewhere, so what better place to put them than the front of the museum? So yeah, that would complete day 1 of this project. Stick around because we're about to go into day 2. It is now day 2 of the museum renovations, and as you guys can see, my museum has returned to its rightful place at the top. I was a little bit nervous about this just because I felt like maybe the museum would look a bit weird up there, like it was like looming over, and it would just like cast weird shadows and things like that, but it actually looks fine. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out, and so now that that is done, the second step is to extend out the cliff on the right hand side where my bridge used to be. And this was kind of tricky just because I didn't have that much space to work with. So like when I'm trying to round out the cliffs and stuff at the edges, it was difficult because there's a river right there. So what I had to do several times is extend the land and make the river a little bit more narrow so that I could like work around and get the land to sit the way I wanted it to. So yeah, I basically ended up extending the land on the right hand side so that you basically could not access the ground level on that side of the river, which I wasn't really planning to do, but at the same time, it's not the biggest deal in the world. It just means like it'll be a little bit more difficult to access that part of my island because I can't go directly to it. But that's no big deal. I'll figure that out some other time down the line. But right now, my main focus was on making the museum look cute. So yeah, basically, I was building up the cliff on the right-hand side, and I was also trying to figure out the space for my ramps. So in my pockets, I have a little incline marker kit to mark where I want to put my inclines. So I'm going to have 2, but obviously you can only place 1 a day. So right now I only have 1 kit in my pockets. So I'm just using that as a guide to place my 2 ramps. So the first one that I decided to do is the top tier one. I wanted like the ramp to sit in a nice place there. And then obviously I used the ramp to mark out the second one as well. But because, you know, you can only put 1 ramp at a time, so I placed the ramp at the top, and then when that's complete, I can place the second one on the ground, and then we'll have a fully beautiful, complete museum area. And also during this time, I was also looking to shoot down some balloons that go past me, because you guys know I'm a hoe for balloons and I can't let them go past me without shooting them down. So there was that as well, and it also resulted in me shaking the trees that have fruit on them, and I didn't mean to. Super annoying, but it's no big deal. So that was kind of the first step of the renovations on the second day. Then the next step after I had kind of carved out the land was to add some more accents around the area. So I decided to put in another waterfall at the side of the museum for no other reason than the cliff sort of like was right at the edge of the river, so I felt like it made sense to just like stick a waterfall there because it would flow down into the river and it'll look cute. I know that you can't really see it properly just because it's at the side, but I'll know it's there, and now that I've mentioned it, you'll know it's there. So I added that waterfall. This took forever, mainly because all the little like cliff areas are quite narrow and it's not easy to get around just because of the bushes and like other items and like the rivers and stuff like that. Like it's really difficult to move around this whole area. And I'm sorry if you're getting a little bit like, I wouldn't call it whiplash, but like I'm sorry if you're getting a little bit like confused or like your head is hurting because I'm moving around so much, but it's just because I really wanted to put these flower things everywhere. But hopefully this is like a one-time thing that I have to do, and now that I've done it, I'll never have to go to these areas of the museum again. Like, it should be pretty straightforward that once the ramps are in, I can kind of just like go up and down to my museum as I please. The area will look nice, but you can't really explore the cliff areas just because, you know, there's so much going on. But that's kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to look very, very like nature-esque, covered in things, like, you know, just that kind of thing. I like that vibe. So that's what I was going for, and I'm really happy with the way it's turning out. It looks great. And so that is kind of the end of all the major renovations that I want to make to this area. Literally the last thing that I need to do is obviously add some more flowers. I definitely want more flowers in the area. Add the butterfly models over time when I get those. And also complete my 2 ramps so that you can actually access the museum. And then that's it, guys. That would be my museum area done. So I'm just gonna go ahead and skip ahead a few days. Not time traveling, I'm gonna wait in real time for it, but I'll just like update you guys in this one video so that it's all one thing. But yeah, I'm gonna wait and get my ramps finished, and then we're gonna skip ahead and I'm gonna show you guys the final complete product. And yeah, I'm super excited. Hey guys, so it is finally time to reveal my new completed museum area. I'm really excited to show you guys, so we're just gonna waste no time. We're just gonna go straight over. So yeah, first of all, I want to point out that I unlocked this sign yesterday, so I'm really happy I got these cute little signs so I can put them everywhere. And yeah, like if I just pan up, like you guys can see, this is like the little completed museum area. Today Leaf is in town, so I've just added a couple more bushes places. I'm gonna need to get some more pansies to put around the place. But yeah, like this is like our museum area and I'm like so obsessed with it. Another thing that I've also done is added some floor lights. So I have like the purple floor lights right now, but I would really like to replace them with white because I feel like purple doesn't really go. So I'm waiting to get different lights, but like yeah, I'm really happy with this so far. And it's come along really well, and I'm actually really happy with the way that everything turned out. I mean, like I said, when we started this thing, I had no idea what it was going to look like. But now that it's done, I'm really obsessed with it. This is like literally my new favorite part of my island because it's just so pretty. And there's just so much going on and I just love it so much. So that brings us to the end of this museum video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more. And let me know in the comments below what your museum area looks like. I mean, I wish you could post photos in the comments so I could actually see them. But like, if you could just describe what it looks like, then let me know. Because I'll be interested to know. Like I said, everyone has like a good dramatic entrance to their museum. And now so do I, and I feel like we finally like properly arrived. And so yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next decorating video. Bye guys.